Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer and I'm here today with your weekly tarot and astrology for the week of July 14th to the 20th. We're going to talk about some of the transits and then we're going to do a spread with the angel deck and with my Camelot deck, and we'll use a tarot card for each sign. This is based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about a rising or talking about a sign, the chart is based on like Aries rising, Taurus rising, etc. It's also applicable to your moon and your sun. I'm going to kind of stall a little bit. Good morning, Margie, until Small Wildflowers gets here because, I'm not going to avoid the headlines and the incredible display that Mars and Uranus showed us in transit yesterday. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, CC Pops. Now, when I talk about the transits, okay, I love you all very, very much, but this is not, I don't want to talk about politics or the candidates and their capacities. What I want to talk about is the transits that happened yesterday and are still continuing and the effect of them. So those that are passionate about their candidates, I just ask you to keep your personal stuff here personal. We're going to be Switzerland here today, okay? God bless you all. Love you so much. Because this was a huge thing that happened yesterday. I don't need to tell you that there was an attempt on Donald Trump's life yesterday. And man, astrology, no lie, Stephen, astrology is real, okay? Now, so I'm compelled, after I watch hours of the same footage, to go look at his chart. Haven't looked at his chart until forever, since the first time that he was entertaining this dynamic. I'm using round terms because I don't want to get tagged, if you get my drift. So I look at his natal chart, and the first thing I see is his midheaven is at 24 degrees of Taurus. The conjunction is at 25 degrees Mars, 26 degrees Uranus on his midheaven. I was like, holy crap. Want to talk about like literally written in the stars, this possibility. Good morning, Catherine. And then I looked a little bit further and I noticed that he has a 29 degree Leo rising. 29 degrees Leo is the sign or is on the fixed star Regulus, where the emperors and the royals reside. And that really indicated so much to me is why, he's endeavoring this dynamic. And also why there is like, it felt very past life karma-y to me, like there's something playing out again. And I was alive when the attempt on Reagan happened. I was alive when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And these are things you don't remember. I was a child, a very young child when JFK was assassinated, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the moonwalk. I remember certain things because they were so powerful to the people around me. So the reason I bring all this up is we all have Uranus and Mars transiting in our chart somewhere. And I think that this could be a polarizing dynamic. There can be unexpected things that happen that give us an opportunity to, sort of reflect Saturn retrograde in Pisces about the dynamics that are, I go to the spiritual part of Pisces and Saturn being a builder, building structure. And, I think that this event was sort of a wake-up call, offering a wake-up call to how do we want to show up in the world? How do we want to process things in the world? How do we want to be? So I think this is really crazy. And I think that the fact that he has that, oh, by the way, he also has Mars at 26 degrees of Leo in his 12th house. So that was technically making a square to Uranus yesterday. It's just like, it blows my mind because the 12th house is an ancestral karmic house. Leo is the sign of leadership. And his rising is at 29 degrees on Regulus. And I'm not saying that, anything about that other than the square is so powerful for what happened yesterday. it just, I don't know if anybody else sees it that way, but I do. Color me cray cray. So I'm blown away. I think astrology, I mean, again, the planets represent such a broad dynamic of things. It's hard to pinpoint the details all the time, which is why I like to use the degrees, because it gives you a bit, and why I'm more engaged in the idea of Placidus more than whole sign. While these readings are based on whole sign for the sake of the group, if we talk about a 29-degree rising sign, we're talking about that rising sign being primarily in the 12th house. I mean, not even primarily, it is the 12th house. So when you push it into the first house, you're really missing a lot of information. So I think that's really, really important, because what it does for this candidate's chart is it actually makes his first house Virgonian. It makes it, most of that first house. And if we think about that, that's being of service. So again, I don't want to comment on the people as characters in any way. I want to keep our little channel all kumbaya, neutral, central, and just look at the transits because they're very interesting. Now, one other thing I want to quickly say that while I've got you in the room is kind of full, is that one of our tribe members, Victoria, was actually coming on vacation, and she was going to come have a reading with me. And an unexpected thing happened where her mother had, I believe it was a stroke. And so the trip had to get canceled, and her mom is currently in the hospital. Her mom's name is Eileen. And if you all would just put them in your prayers, that Eileen will come back into balance with her physical body, and that Victoria and her niece will be able to have their celebratory trip rescheduled, and that she knows that as a tribe we support each other. So I would appreciate if you would do that. And now we're going to talk a little bit about our transits coming up this week, because we still have Mars and Uranus are going to be exact conjunct tomorrow. 26 degrees of Taurus, and it is making a loose trine to Pluto at 1 degree retrograde of Aquarius. And in just a few days, Pluto's moving back into Capricorn, which is very, very interesting. Just as these events unfold over this week, I think Uranus, and we could be feeling unexpected information about things. And as it unfolds, not just this particular event that happened yesterday, but just overall in our own individual lives, we could be finding out things to that we just didn't expect, or that we had maybe assumed something different. And I think that the Mars aspect, while it is challenging up against Uranus, I mean, that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of like pow, 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 pow. And I mean that like fireworks, okay? Like Mars is wanting to move, move, move. Uranus is like, let's move the BS out of the way, get into the future. And here this is Taurus, which rules, our family history. It rules the land. It rules our money. It rules the things that we build and how our voice. And I want to offer this because right now Jupiter's at about, yesterday, I think Jupiter was out. Let me look. Did I write that down? Jupiter, I think, is at 10 degrees right now of Gemini. And in a few days, Mars is going to enter Gemini on the 20th. And when that happens, the trine to Pluto will be exact. Pluto will be 0 degrees of Aquarius. And then we'll see Mars start to conjunct Jupiter in Gemini, where people will be willing to go to battle, war, arguing over their belief system. Now, this to me is, this is an opportunity to communicate constructively. I think again, I don't want to be political, but I believe our country was built on the idea that we get to have our individual ideas and thoughts, that this is where freedom of thought, freedom of speech resides. So I hope that we all will allow those that have something to say it. And if whatever they're saying is distasteful to us, we just leave, exit stage left, do not engage, because the Uranus dynamic that's happening right now is stoking it, right? It's throwing lightning and fire. It's the Tower card for me, okay? I don't think that's Mars. When you see the lightning, what does Uranus rule? Lightning. What does rebellion against the regime, the government, whatever. And then Mars is that warrior energy. So it's really, rawr. And then we go into this belief system. And also Jupiter rules also hierarchy in many ways. We look at it as religion, and we often talk about foreign travel, but it rules large systems like the judicial system. And I think that's important to put into that mix there, because people will be very much impassioned at this time. And I think to celebrate their passion versus trying to convince them of whatever their beliefs are not aligned. I think the best way to, honestly, right now, for me to be the best American I can be is to let people think what they think and not try to argue. So I just want to offer that, because I think this is a week, let me tell you. So we're also heading into our second full moon, which will be next Sunday in Capricorn. And I think that this is really powerful, because last fall we had the two moons in Aries. They were, I believe that one was a solar eclipse even. We had the early Aries full moon. And then we had, I think it was a 29-degree Aries full moon. And then that flopped the moon cycles so that we had a new moon. We planted the seeds of faith in the beginning of the month, and then then we went to a full moon at the beginning of the month, planting the seed, or being able to see the full picture before going into the new moon and planting the seeds. Now we're going back to the normal cycle, where the new moon will be the beginning of the month and the full moon will be 2 weeks later. So I think that this full moon in Capricorn is at 29 degrees, illuminating even more structure and old ways of being, and assessing their viability, because some old structures are built well, and some old structures have become archaic and confining in these expanding times. So I think that's something that's super powerful and super important. The full moon next week is going to be conjunct Pluto. And Pluto will be trining Mars. Wow. Boom, boom, boom. That's fireworks, guys. Fireworks for me. My head is literally, I cannot wait to see what plays out. I don't know if y'all checked your monthlies, but in some of them, I think I was getting more brave in talking about the potentials of the Mars-Uranus conjunction being played out on the world stage. And I just don't think that this is over. So I think that's important to remember. As you're walking through your day, because this is what I want to say, we can't be expected to be aware in every moment. But as we are doing our best to stand in balance, I think that we start to attract a more easier path versus a path where we're constantly having to be in conflict. So as we focus on our own liberation from thoughts, fears, ideas that just don't serve our future, that have tethered us in some historic way, restricted us, then we start to look to the future in the way that our thoughts are things, and focusing on our challenges doesn't really work. Focusing on what's out of balance doesn't really work. God bless those who have a war on cancer, a war on drugs, a war on this. It's a resistant energy. So rather focusing on the balance of it, right? It coming into balance versus having to extinguish it. So whatever in your life you want to come into balance, the awareness that your habit will be to default to the challenge, and then just gently allow yourself to move yourself into, okay, thank you, Spirit, for helping me anchor into this evolved, more pleasant version of whatever the situation is. And then you're going to see yourself representing the possibilities moving forward. Okay. So that's pretty much it. By the time we get to next week, we will be in Leo season, which Should be the most fun season of the year since it focuses on entertainment and joy and pleasure. So let's look at that. And thank you all for being here this morning. Let's start with our Cancer babies. It's your Cancer rising, but happy birthday to my Cancer sons. It's the last week or so of the solar return, so enjoy. And while these transits can be a little bit, exciting, because you late born Cancers are still experiencing an opposition to Pluto. So now this can be the reward side of Pluto as you revisit even a little bit deeper of what your motivations are for your expansion and your movement forward. So let's see what your tarot card is. And let me make sure this is off because I forgot to do that. Ooh, we have the Knight of Cups. This is really an enjoyable energy. We see this knight is representing a youthful energy. We see fire and water together here. So this could be like a hot jacuzzi. And we see the little red fish, kind of giving me that Piscean energy. Plus we see the wings, which makes me almost feel like a message is coming for you. Now, again, not all, steamy, woo, but also I think, there could be well wishes during your birthday, but there could also be unexpected messages that come through for some reason. I want to say it that way. Let's see what the angels have to say. This knight is known to be quite charming, by the way, and quite, how can I say this? Enrolling. He feels a little bit like there's a little look on his face as if he sort of knows what it is that you want and need. I would put it that way. So let's see where Spirit's going with this. Our first angel for Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums is a message from your loved ones or from someone on the other side. Could be your team. Rochelle is about following your heart in order to feel your abundance. Azure is about your desired outcome is coming anytime now. And Bridget is about looking deeper into a situation. I really think that these times that we're in are about the long game. I think that's partially what the benefit of Saturn in Pisces right now is, slowing us down to look at our ancestral habits. I totally believe that as a soul, I picked the family I picked for a reason. Now, look, I know I don't have much of a family, but that in and of itself is a compelling experience. So there could very well be something going on under the surface that is requiring your continued connection to Spirit, to feel the messages from Spirit, to be sure to align to not a superficial dynamic that you want, but a really much more rooted and rich and savory experience. Now, I just got this image of Jupiter moving into your first house next year. A lot of what's going on this year could be teeing up the reward that Jupiter could offer in its exaltation. So let's see. Sonia is being joined by the cat. Rochelle is being joined by the deer. Azure is being joined by the Grail Knight, and Bridget is being joined by the frog. Now, I must say that my Cancers, in the middle of this deck, was a card on the angel deck. So now I'm going to have to put that in the final position, and that would be Daniel, the angel of marriage. So let me just offer this. Often we want to engage in, hi Lucy, we want to engage in relationships with other people, and we have a very dreamy idea of how that will benefit our lives. And yet at the same time, sometimes we get into situations and there's an inner knowing that there's that the alignment, or we're in a situation where we're in a dating thing and we're not feeling the alignment, because I really think for my Cancers that this Sonia and the cat is not only about healthy boundaries, okay, but also about 9 lives, and that you're being guided by your angels to give you what you really want in a relationship, not a superficial version of it. okay? Because Rochelle is about, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming. But this is never, for me, about money. It's always about the bigger picture of happiness and freedom and the things that money affords us. And here's the deer being a double message. Don't be afraid. New things are happening. Be gentle with yourself during the process of trusting a bigger picture. You all know that I've been talking for a long time that people of a certain age, that where society has otherwise put you out to pasture, are going to thrive or see their dreams start to, live in the material world. And I believe that this is a time when Spirit is calling that forth for you and saying, on this solar return at this time, Cancer, make those declarations and stay the course to follow your heart. Because as you do that, as you seek the sacred within your own life, you will see evidence of it in the material. It's coming to you. Now let's offer this idea, because Pluto, everybody, villainizes Pluto. And let me tell you, there's plenty of reasons for that Pluto can be a villain. But Pluto can also transform your life in ways that bring such benefit. And what if your partner, because this is very much seems like it's about some kind of relationship and love, what if your either pending partner, your partner to be, or the partner that you're with is going through some sort of transformation? And through that transformation, Pluto transit, there becomes a bigger awareness of what is wanted. And what if your person was actually with somebody else, married to somebody else, and has to go through a divorce in order to be in your space at the right time? Because Bridget wants you to look deeper into a situation. Don't just throw yourself into the herd like everybody else. There's an opportunity for a literally emotional cleanup. And then here is the angel of marriage. So I know that I say this a lot, and not everybody has to like Taylor Swift, but I personally really like her. And, seeing her Venus be conjunct Pluto in Aquarius and break up her 6-year relationship and then bring in her new love, that was a Pluto transit that I was like, see, there's Pluto transformed. I love this. I love Pluto showing up, doing good things, breaking up. Joe had Saturn on her Venus. I'm sorry, that is not going to feel good long term. Okay, it just doesn't feel good. So I feel like for my Cancers, this is about starting to trust your guides, build that foundation that Saturn through Pisces is offering you, okay, with your guides, with your team, like almost thinking that's your first conference call of the day. Forget about meditation. Have a conversation with them in the shower, Cancer, water, and talk to them like your friend. And they will act like your friend. There's no hierarchy here, okay? There may be levels of wisdom, but there's no hierarchy. And so you can give yourself fully in conversation to your guides, and then you can enjoy the comfort of knowing that they're working on your team. All right, going on to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Can I say something a little funny weird? So I saw this thing on TikTok. I'm pretty sure it was a contrived thing, but it was where people were at a Kanye concert and they were all singing "The Smallest Man That Ever Lived," like the audience was. And I kind of laughed at that. I'll be honest. My comment, I go, they should do a mashup and put "Thank You, Amy" in there. I thought I was so clever. Anyway, I don't know if y'all Swifties, I might lose people but I love her. I'm sorry. I'm not talking politics. Okay. I'm just talking artistry. Okay. On to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What's up for you, my loves? Okay. This is the 4 of Cups. Now, very much this 4 of Cups is where this character is staring at what he has on the earth. And clearly there's dissatisfaction about it. But God is trying to hand you a gift. God, I don't know why I said Dawn. I don't know who Dawn is, but I feel like there's a dawning coming of something, because the cloud around the hand is a new idea of some kind. And I think that what this card indicates for my Leos, God bless you so much. I love you. You're a fixed sign, but sometimes you can just see what's in front of you instead of opening up maybe to a bigger space of what the possibilities have. The dawn of a new day. Thank you for saving me. making me not seem like my brain is, I'm losing my brain. Okay, I will tell you that Neptune is floating around my south node. Now, while it floats around my south node, it makes a sextile to Pluto, and then Pluto makes a sextile to my Jupiter. That makes me feel like I'm more out there than I am up here. And it feels like it more because more dead people are coming through in my readings. So I have to keep myself anchored into the 3D world. And I'm not thinking I'm going to have dementia. Okay, here we go. Leo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What message are you missing because you're too busy looking at what is not versus what may be? Or will be, for all I know. I'm also shedding like crazy lately. Okay. Oh, Rochelle is to follow your heart. Who rules the heart, Leo? Who rules the spine? Courage. You do. Then we have, Chantal, the angel of romance. Woohoo. August. It's a month of romance. There's Mystique, keep charging ahead. And there's Sonia watching over. Don't worry. I love this. Jeez. Well, Lucy, I think that's awesome because, I want to, you guys, our guides, our angels, our loved ones, they can't really intervene. Imagine that you're learning to ride a bike and you're wobbling down the street and your parents are watching you and they're down the street. They can't really stop you from falling, okay? It's up to you to drive the car. But if you yell to them, help, help, they'll come get you. And you don't need to be helped, but engaging your guides like they're your friends. Otherwise they just sit around waiting for something to do. I mean, I'm sure they have other things to do, but they can't act on your behalf without an invitation from you. Okay, Leo, Rochelle is saying to follow your heart in love. That's fun. Chantal is talking about optimism. There's the fire fairy joining her. Mystique and the frog are here in the angel's advice. Wow, this is very exciting. And then we have the cat again. I think, Leo, that maybe you might be missing the forest for the trees. God bless you, love you so much. If you are part of the Leo, early born Leos, Leo, early rising, then you might be experiencing that challenge from Pluto. But think about this. What if Pluto has been, picking up all the poop in your yard to allow it to compost and become the manure that has your garden grow? Because something is happening behind the scenes that you can't see. And here, if you follow your heart, let's say that you love somebody who's being difficult right now. Okay. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know if this person's habits will ever change. And a leopard doesn't change their spots, but they do fade with age and awareness, because Chantal is offering either new romance or the resurgence of romance. And this is about being, I don't really like the words optimistic, but I also can see a wisdom and faith in knowing a bigger picture, because Mystique does not lie to us. She's always saying to keep charging ahead. You're coming out of the dark. There's when the frog represents cleaning house. Okay. I don't think that's cleaning the toilet or the bathtub. The house of the mind. This is where we reside. And I really want to offer this too, because the mind is a muscle. The brain is a muscle. And a lot of those banging around thoughts, they're kind of on a loop somewhere. So it's through awareness and through conscious thought. Have you ever been driving somewhere for a while and then all of a sudden you've been off thinking about this, and that duality is really how your brain works all the time. Okay. So now as you stand in awareness, you can start to engage your team to either course correct and bring in this opportunity of more love and more authenticity, more realism, or you can start to have healthy boundaries within the relationship you're already in. And think about that. I think that's a new life. I think that's a starting again. The love card is a 45, which reduces down to a 9, and the cat is an 18, which reduces down to a 9. So it makes me feel like, we do have an opportunity to shift and to evolve. And sometimes we just have to get through a real challenging period. So let's move on. to our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, for our Virgos, we have the Page of Swords. This is new thoughts, new ideas, new inspirations, and in many ways, I just heard Spirit say, and cutting through the muck. Now we have an opposition from Saturn in Pisces. That would be, that would really affect any of the mutable signs in the mid-range and any planets there. I also believe, if I remember correctly, that Venus is having Venus has entered Leo. Yes, okay. I think she's in a strange quincunx to Saturn, if I remember correctly, which would make her not see something. So let's see where we're going with this. So this might be an epiphany of some kind. That's where I'm going with this idea. Okay, Akasha is the teacher. Then we have Teresa, which is about worrying about everything you have to do and not taking care of yourself because of it. We have Astera talking about reaching for the stars and not compromising. And Fiona is saying, engage us. We'll help you. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I try to put them on conservative and, but YouTube won't let me turn them off altogether. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know how. Okay, here we go. Akasha is being joined, Virgo, by the Earth Fairy. Very interesting. Teresa is being joined by the Love card. Astera is being joined by the Disruption card. And Fiona is being joined by the Butterfly. It's interesting to me because as I look at this, I almost feel like with the Earth Fairy represents things that are grounded, things that, of the earth, but also represents your physical health. And so does Virgo. And with an opposition of Saturn, you could feel a sense of restriction, a sense of, you could feel depressed, you could feel fear, you could feel old and wrinkly and gnarly. But I want to offer this. This page is offering new ideas and new thoughts. And I remember before COVID hit, I didn't know COVID was going to hit because I told Spirit, I don't want to know big, bad things. If I can't do anything about it, why do I need to know it and worry about it? But at the time, I was very much being called to take care of my physical body. And Spirit was bringing information across my feeds, my social media feeds, and things that they knew would intrigue me. And I started writing down little recipes for things. And like yesterday, I made this thing that tastes like an orange Julius, but it helps clean your liver out. It's like water, orange juice, a little olive oil, garlic, and ginger in the blender. So my point is there could be new ideas for Virgo about how you take care of your body and how you take care of your mental body. And I mean that literally, physically, like food. Okay. I'm not thinking that this is like going to the doctor and getting a checkup. It feels as if there's something going on that I guess this is how I want to put it. Okay. Your vibration is shifting. And as your vibration shifts, there may be some things that you're ingesting that you just can't digest the same way you used to. Because as we elevate within our awareness, our frequency goes up. And as our frequency goes up, the more dense foods on the planet don't work. They make you feel sick. So that might be happening. Because now I feel like this love card is not about intimate love. It feels about love of self because you've been taking care of too many other people or worrying about other people too much. Or, what do you represent? Duty, service to others. Lucy Rose, I don't like to call it diet, because that feels restrictive. I feel like it's more just an awareness. So I'm a weirdo. Okay, I still like to eat meat and I do like to eat bacon. I'm going to tell you, I don't eat it very often because pardon my language, I almost used a bad word with my body. But yesterday I went into the little deli area where the butcher is in the market and said, give me 2 pieces of bacon because I can eat 2 pieces of bacon. But if I eat 4, I'm a dead woman. So I'm not telling you to stop things. I'm telling you to enjoy things a little bit and then play in your Virgo process with how much of whatever you can have. Because I think somehow the new idea of taking care of your body, me too, is there. It's almost like maybe Virgo perfection. There we go. It could be that, oh, I can't do that because I need to be perfect. This reach for the stars might be that it's like you're trying too hard, and there's the disruption card saying, no, just relax a little bit. Everything in moderation, as they say. And then Fiona is offering a blossoming. Now, I want to offer this idea because the blossoming doesn't feel like you've conquered your diet or your food, but rather you're starting to see how the human mind and the spirit work together, and how potentially when you become, to allow for inspired thoughts about things, to allow yourself to think that perfection is an unrealistic goal, and that I'm fabulously flawed. And in that, I can enjoy a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And so that's what I've come to, because I told Spirit before I started doing this work, I actually used to smoke cigarettes. And I remember I told Spirit, I don't want to quit smoking. I don't want to quit eating meat. And I don't want to give up my wine to be intuitive. And if that's what it takes, I quit. That was when I was like 40 years old. Now, mind you, in the meantime, I have quit a lot of those things. Mostly the cigarettes, I absolutely don't smoke anymore. But I do, I like my little bit of beef. I don't have it very often. But, I don't go crazy. And my little bit of bacon. So I don't buy the stuff in the package, because then I have the whole thing and I have trauma. So I want to eat it all. Okay. So Virgo, play with your physical body in an inspired way this week, please. I don't know what is going on. Am I going bald before our very eyes? Because I feel like I keep moving hairs out of the way and they keep showing back up. DJ, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone in the tribe. Thank you so much. I love you all. I love you more than bacon. And that's saying a lot. Okay, here we go. Onto our Libras, rising, moon, sun. Oh, Libra, I love this as my own Libra sun. Here's Venus, right, incarnate, right here. There she is, laying back, collecting her joy, her fun. This scepter that sits so high up is because she's aware of her connection to the stars. She's aware that the crown that she wears of her to receive the bounty from the universe are because she's connected. And that connection is not in a desperate way, but in an abundant way. Now we have Venus who entered Leo a few days ago. While this is not in exaltation here, she loves being there. And I think actually she's been in an aspect to Neptune. Sometimes I lose time of thought because I'm so busy ahead trying to record things and not delete them. Remember that last week? Let's look and see where we're going, Libra, because I think that this is something that there's some bounty coming. Now we have the South Node transiting through your first house. And this is starting to go into those last 10 degrees of Libra as it's going to move out of the sign. But I want to offer this because that South Node, often people will say, oh, it's an erosion spot. It's a spot where we excrete toxic things. But it's also a spot that represents the potential of stepping into my Venusian energy, regardless of other people's opinions of how that's going to work. And the reason I say that is because people will look at everything from their box. So when I started doing Teri, when I started being Teri and working from my home, nobody, and I've said this before, in my family, I don't know about my friends because I don't think they would say it, but my family certainly would be willing to chime in. How you can't afford it. You're not going to make money at that. What are you doing? You're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I am crazy. I'm just that crazy. And what I know about focus and thought helped that crazy become a reality. And 10 and a half years later, I'm still working from home. Serena, the angel of abundance, more money is coming. We're going to win the lottery. Small, we're going to win the lottery. I'm telling you, here's the Empress in the lottery. You guys, I know you think I'm joking. I think I'm going to win the lottery. Archangel Michael says to have you protected and have courage. Bethany is about taking care of yourself. And then Athena is about lovingly asserting yourself. Well. I know. Isn't she pretty out there in the sky? I love it. Okay, here we go. I'm not sure that Serena's always about money because I think of abundance as a much broader picture than money. I think of abundance as a sense of freedom of mind as well. Okay, here we go. Serena is being joined by the cat again. Wow. So there's a lot of independent thinking right now going on. A lot of beginnings too, new beginnings, the 9 lives idea. Then we have Archangel Michael being joined by the forgiveness card. We have Bethany being joined by the frog. The frog has been showing up a lot today. And then we have the swan, the transformation and the trusting of one's intuitive gifts. You know, when I first started playing the scratchers, you know, I looked up at the lotto Powerballs yesterday, and I'm like, nope, not going to throw those. I don't have any reality on winning them. There's zero reality, zero. So I know that when I go and I buy a ticket, it's like, how do I feel vibrationally? So when you see me laughing and acting stupid, like this is kind of like crazy joke, this is the kind of thing the universe responds to and goes, oh, she's serious. And it may seem crazy to everyone else, but it won't. So what did I do yesterday? I bought some tickets with my winnings, and then I won $120. Went back and I won $150, plugged 120 back in for 4 big $10 million tickets. And then I won $120. I won my money back. So I gotta say, I'm playing with the vibration, guys. I think Libra, play with receiving. There's something going on here where you have a 9 lives and you get to be serene about it right now. You get to know that something that you want, something that you're manifesting is far from over. And if that south node is messing with your sense of self, like it's not going to happen, I feel like this is like an opportunity to course correct, because Archangel Michael is about courage. Okay. And courage is not about the elimination of fear. It's about moving mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically forward. And there's that forgiveness card. That forgiveness card is a reconciliation for me because I'm not necessarily a forgiving person. I need to transform the challenge into a tool and reconcile it to bring balance. I can't just say, oh, I forgive you, you hurt me, bygones. I just don't do that. I'm sorry. So now here's Bethany. This is all about you, Libra. This is like releasing you from some sort of mental bondage, potentially, because when I see the frog, this is a cleaning of the house. This is taking care of yourself. And now we have this transformation of trusting your gut more than you trust your brain. And this is lovingly asserting yourself that way. So let me repeat myself for the millionth time you've watched me. I sit in my apartment. I don't know if any of you have ever given me your email address, but if you have, you probably don't get very many emails from me because I don't send them out and I don't market much. I try to do the human things. I'm just too lazy. I honestly, I'm double Venus in some ways. So what do? I put my beam up and I go to Spirit. I go, Spirit, bring me everybody. I need a paycheck. Bring me everybody who will best be served by my gifts and my talents. And I've literally learned to trust that. I've learned to trust what that makes no absolute sense in the 3D world. And yet, did you win a scratch off today? How much did you win? Just call me C. Wouldn't it be fun if our whole tribe started winning money on scratch offs? Oh my gosh. I would just love that. I honestly would. Because I want to say for my Libras, this is about lovingly asserting yourself from a very different place. And at 2 degrees of Libra is that supergalactic center, which is a focus on the relationship with the self. But the self is not contained within the human body. It's contained, the soul is bigger than the human body. So a lot of who you are is outside of yourself. So when you connect with that, you're expanding your own intentions, and it creates a huge vibration, and it's fun. That's so much fun. You won $65. Doesn't that feel fun? I love it. And I don't love the money winning. I love seeing my vibration. I love watching myself shift from worrying about money. And I used to worry about it a lot. I don't know if I've ever told you guys, I come from a welfare family where literally when we were little, we'd go in the welfare office and then we would go to Gelson's. And my mom, I was so embarrassed to go into Gelson's, which is a fancy bougie market with food stamps, but my mom and my sister didn't care. So there I was, this little girl hiding so people wouldn't see my face. So money was always an issue. Money didn't grow on trees, blah, blah, blah. Everything has to last a long time. And I would keep things I don't need forever, like, rubber bands or things like that. I stopped doing all of that. I'm like, everything flows. Okay, on to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, we love this. celebration, wisdom demonstrated. I love this. This is the three phases of the woman. And here they hold their cups up because there is a feeling of understanding. And through that, there is bounty. All right, my Scorpios, let's look and see where we're going. I love that. That sounds so peaceful, DJ. I miss having a cat, but my apartment, I don't like having a litter box. It's too small. I had cats forever. Plus, my last cat was such the bomb, cool dude. Like, I just don't know if I, until he incarnates again, and he might after, because the whole reason I want to win the lottery is to buy a house. And so I can live in a house and grow old there and, not have to do other things old people do. So if I ever get my own house, I would definitely have another cat. I would have more animals. Absolutely. All right, here we go. Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Bridget. The second is Isabella. The third is Chantal. And the final is Xana. Okay. So we're going to look deeper into something. Thank you, DJ. I can't have an outside cat. I live on the Autobahn, basically. I live on North Coast Highway, and it's like 90 miles an hour, all hours of the day and night. It would poor thing, and I'd find him smushed out there. No, I couldn't do that. I don't have enough faith in the people of the world to have my dog off leash or to have an outdoor animal. Okay, here we go. Bridget, for my Scorpios, is being joined by the Lady of the Lake, a deep, deep truth and courage to express it. There we have Isabella and the partnership card. Chantal, our angel of romance, and the spider, which represents relationships. And then the frog and Xana. Wow. So my Scorpios, this is really, really interesting to me because there is a really strong, sensitive feeling to this, as if, the first few things people ever say about Scorpio, intense, brooding, power, it's all true. But, that to me is also an intense focus, an intention to create. Because here, I think that this is about this celebration of your wisdom and looking deeper into situation and knowing that any kind of wrestling you're doing with your heart and your head is to look deeper into what is your truth for you. What do you want for you? Because yes, the timing is right. And then there's this partnership card. And I want to offer it this way because especially if you have not entertained being in a relationship for a long time, Scorpio, you could inadvertently go to the dark side of what can be in a relationship, of it. And this is not always easy because when we've had experiences, they tend to stick. And then when you're a fixed sign like Scorpio and you're very sensitive, frankly, and that sensitivity, you're a fighter in that sensitivity. You don't acquiesce and roll up in a ball. So to me now, I feel like the timing is right for you to start to contemplate a relationship through what you've learned, your new point of attraction, not your old point of attraction. And in doing so, you will start to experience a relationship that sticks, somebody who can match your intentions, your drive, both materially, physically, emotionally, sexually. I think there's a lot going on here because now Xana is saying you're protected. And this is about emotional cleanup. It's literally about cleaning up the mind in many ways and the incorporation of your story and how now it doesn't have to pull you under, but can rather lift you up. Oh, I know what that feels like. I don't want to do that anymore. Or recognizing that you're reacting to something in a way that is hitting a chord that sits underneath that may have nothing to do with the situation at large. I really think that this is a celebration of an opportunity to see an ebb and a flow. And sometimes without the dark spots, you can't make the color pop. It all just sort of, I don't want to say blurs together, but what happens when there are dark spots is it accentuates that color and it brings it more to life. So here, I think this is about looking deeper. I want to offer that the sword represents not only a deep truth, but also communication. You know, the sword is always the mind. It's always able to cut through the bullshit. And if we know Scorpio, you rule swords and knives. And so I think this is an opportunity for you to, rather than, because if for some reason Mars and Uranus create something icky for some reason, like somebody out of nowhere, you know, accuses you of being away or says something or does something that feels a little like they're trying to pigeonhole you into an old way of being, you just let them slide away. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I gotta go. You don't really know me anymore. Because I want to offer this as an Aries rising. I don't ever want to give up my sword or my fire or actually being a little bit assertive. I don't want to do that. I want to learn how to use it constructively, because you know, Pluto preys on the weak. The criminals prey, Prey, on the weak. And I don't have any interest in that. So I think this is really more about love, intimate love. I think it's about starting to believe in love. I think it's starting to demonstrate an evolved version of yourself that you know exists, and trusting that a little deeper. All right, here we go. On to our Sagittarius's rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Welcome, Sunny Honeycutt. I don't know if you're new here, but welcome. I don't recognize the name. Did I say hi to Just Call Me C? Hi, DJ. I want to say hi to everybody. I'm having I've got to move the table back because the glare is getting weird. Okay, where am I going? Sagittarius. Here we go. Oh, this is very much a Sagittarian energy. This is double fire. This Knight of Wands is very passionate, very creative, very adventuresome. There's a lot going on here, and he is ready to roll. Let's see what's going on. This is for Sagittarius rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Hey, Lucky. Thanks for making an appearance. Scorpio moon or Sagittarius moon? Because if you're a Scorpio moon, you're super intuitive. And if you ignore your intuition, it's just going to piss you off. Okay, here we go. Our first angel for Sagittarius is Rochelle, following your heart. The second is Indriel. The third is Xana, the angel of protection. And the final is Archangel Michael. Oh, this might be about implementing your ideas, starting to put some life and some roots into all that passionate creativity that you have. Here is Rochelle being joined by the restriction card. Then we have Indriel being joined by the Lady of the Lake. We have Xana being joined by the focus card. And we have Archangel Michael being joined by the truth. You know, this particular spread doesn't feel like it actually has one genre. It feels more like it's an emotional message from the angels about allowing your passions and your creativity and your what inspires you to drive you. And here it feels almost like you've been restricting that message, that heart chakra that's been tapping on your door. Hello, wake up. Hey, Matt, welcome to our room. We have Indriel, the light worker, and we have the Lady of the Lake. This is for my Sagittariuses. And I want to say this isn't about you being a light worker and being of service to other people. It's about shining your creativity, your creative light out into the world to your satisfaction and having the courage to do that. And kind of, you know, I want to offer this because the Lady of the Lake is like this weird fight between my head and my heart, I feel like. And while I want to offer it this way. I believe you. I love you guys as my tribe so much, but I believe that you put up with my weird way of looking at things and all my funky, you know, interpretations that aren't like everybody else's that do astrology. And if I had never been cuckoo and Cocoa Puffs enough to talk like this, I would never know that you respond to how I view the stars. So for Sagittarius, what I'm trying to say is as you allow your own heart to birth itself, that you will find a natural tribe that will respond to your authenticity, and your focus on your own voice will protect you from any sort of negativity or any sort of, we barely ever get trolls in this room. And maybe I'm just not popular enough to get trolls. I mean, I could look at it that way, but I think of it as spirit just keeping the riffraff out, and the law of attraction bringing the people that will best be served by this broadcast. And then I have Small Wildflowers, she's strong, so she's got that button. All right, here we go. Our final, this is the potential outcome for the week. This is the truth coming out. And the truth is that you do deserve. And now it's time to have a little bit of courage and allow yourself to just start to muse. This guy's on a journey. He hasn't reached a destination yet. So if y'all start thinking about what makes me excited, what do I, when we think about Jupiter, your ruling planet has moved into Gemini. So I want to offer it this way. Let's take the whole educational thinking point out of it. And just, what do you want your everyday to look like? How do you want your everyday world to expand? And when you think about that and you go, okay, I want more freedom. Because some people go, I want more money, but the money part is just the symptom for the freedom part. So I think that this is a digging just a little deeper into your heart, even if it seems a little bit pie in the sky. And then, because that's what this would indicate. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it. Will it happen? And then just starting to let your voice, this could be Taurus, the Uranus Mars conjunction in Taurus. The Taurus rules the voice. Just start playing with the voice. How would you like your life to be? And as you do that, little things will show up that'll give you evidence. And that's why they're asking you to have the courage. You'll be protected through Archangel Michael as you step into your deeper truth. Thank you about the glasses, Matt. I appreciate that. I have many different pairs. So many I don't even know that I have. Some that I bought that are so ugly on me and I was too lazy to return. I'm so weird sometimes. Okay. Oops. On to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Oh, you're going to love this, Capricorn. This is so you. The 10 of Pentacles. It's like big money. It's tradition, big company money. It's tradition. It's like the whole family, the dogs, the cats, the grandparents, everything about this it has tradition, steeped in tradition, rooted into the earth. Let's look and see. We've got the late born Capricorns are going to experience Pluto's conjunction again, and those cardinal signs. I have a late degree Mars in Libra, so I'm going to experience the square again. But now that I'm aware of it, I know the landscape. So I feel a little bit better about how I work it, because I also think of a square, while it is tense, if you look at most structures are built in a square foundation, right? Because it's the strongest to build something. So here we go. Let's see. Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Astera. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Crystal is saying have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. Layla is talking about spending time with your true intentions and talking to spirit and continuing that forward as a staple, part of your structure that you're building. Everybody's experiencing a heat wave, and I sit in Laguna Beach in the one place that's 65 degrees. It'll be 70 here today. It's foggy. I'm not even bothering to dry my hair because it's so cloudy. My hair will just go like Rosanna Dana. All right, Capricorn. Astera is being joined by the Queen. Crystal's being joined by the Fear card. Layla's being joined by the Joy card. And Ariel's being joined by the Communications card. Okay, so this 10 of Pentacles now feels more as if this is what you want. This is what you want to create. A strong foundation with plenty of resources, with plenty of connections to yourself and others. Oh, wait, I just saw something. Hold on. I just skipped the ad. There's a little button. Haha, I found it. Now, Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and to start to implement your new tools that you've been learning as Pluto's been going through your first house. Maybe not every Capricorn, has been paying attention. Those that are just driving around don't like astrology, but those of you that do know that the queen is a receiver. The queen, and this is a feminine energy, not an energy of gender. So this is reaching for the stars and saying, this is what I want to experience. This is my sense of bounty and comfort. This is what I enjoy. Crystal says, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then this fear card, okay, is very interesting because Capricorn, they kind of put fear and depression in your house. And yet at the same time, I think a lot of that fear is public reaction, 10th house, the responsibility of the 10th house, being authority, being a leader. Oh my goodness. So now I'm thinking, what if your leadership comes from the idea that you do connect with spirit, with that which brings you joy, that you can't see with your eyes, but you feel now with your expanding heart, because now Ariel and this communications card is the ticket to this manifestation. I really think that sometimes the more earthbound signs or influences are the ones that demonstrate the most when somebody who thinks, oh, I have to work hard in order to make things happen, when they go through the earthly structures and they get tired, and then they start to allow for spirit to help and they engage them in this joyful way and things start to happen, you become the most powerful demonstrators of transformation. That's what I'm trying to say. So, when I win that lottery and I get on this show and I tell you, I'm retiring. No, I won't retire ever, but I'm going to win just so you all can experience it. And I hope some of you do the same thing in your manifestations. You find that joyous place, you tell spirit how much fun it is, and then you come on here and you tell us how you won. And I'm going to see you on My Lottery Dream Home, that you met David. Pardon me while I amuse myself so much. Because I really do think I'm like there's two parts of me going. One of me is like, you sound like a crazy person. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if I'm crazy. All right, here we go. Pardon me while I make myself cry laughing. I'm telling you. Okay. I don't do Instagram, guys. I just don't know why I'm not on Instagram. And ever since this political dynamic, I can't be on Facebook either, because all the old farts like me are way too cuckoo on Facebook. So I'm only on YouTube and TikTok. And I don't even post on TikTok. I just watch. Okay, Aquarius, this is your card. The moon. Now, the moon here in the tarot deck very much represents a Piscean energy here. Okay. Now, oftentimes they'll say there's a confusion in the moon, but the moon is where we're here. For me, I see it as wrestling between two sides of myself, sort of this one side of myself that feels loving. I like this the lap dog. And then here's the more feral side of myself. And, interestingly enough, when I look at that crusty lobster and the purple lobster, I almost feel like that accentuates I've always had trouble figuring out what that lobster, but today I see that hard shell and then I think of the sweet meat on the inside of the lobster. And I'm wondering if this isn't about duality in some way. If your reading this week is about having to really trust a more intuitive, emotional place inside of you that you may not be used to, because you're science and you like to experiment with things and build things to take you in places where no man has gone before. But this might be where you go interiorly into an emotional, spiritual connection where you've never gone before. Let's see. We also have Pluto floating around the beginning of your first house, okay, and about to go back into your 12th house. So this could potentially illuminate some 12th house energies. Pisces rules the 12th house, and that rules the ancestral imprint of the soul. So let's say, in lifetime after lifetime, you've always felt that your Aquarius energy was exiled. You weren't, or you were always on the opposite side of tradition. And you may be feeling a call to that sort of now. You could be feeling, an ancestral pull in some way. Well, Matt, what are you, just such a little team player? He just jumps in our community and joins. I love that. I love that open heart that he comes in here with. How sweet are you? Okay, here we go. This is for our Jupiters. Our Jupiters. What am I saying? Our Aquarians. God, but looked at Stephen, the Jupiterian, and it came out of my mouth. All right, here we go. Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The first angel is Serena, the angel of abundance. The second is Shanti, the angel of peace and tranquility. We have Crystal saying have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. And then we have Ray, which is very much a connection to yourself and your team. Here we go. Serena is being joined by the focus card. Shanti is being joined by the creative fire fairy. We see Crystal being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. There's Pluto. And then we have the Baird. Okay, I want to offer this to my Aquariuses because, oftentimes Pluto transits bring a challenge of some kind. And as you guys know that watch me, I've had a challenge going on for the last year as Pluto's been squaring my Mars and my Sun. And initially it was hard, definitely feeling punched in the face by other people, but I started to play this game a lot smarter than I had in the past. And when I started to recognize that my personality and my ego were being triggered and they were my underdoing, they were screwing me over. Okay. So that was the feral part. I'm just going to eat you alive. Now here's this dog here that's almost maybe too sweet and too nice. Now let's go to this lobster, which has confused me for decades. Now I'm seeing this crusty outer shell, which is where I'm strong. I have this armor, and yet there's this soft, supple meat on the inside. This is where I'm going with this. Try not to think I'm crazy, but if you do, I accept it. Serenity. I know you rule the nervous system. I know you rule anxiety. I know you rule things. I mean, I would imagine people that are rebelling against government would be anxious as they're plotting this happening. That's part of what Aquarius rules. So here, Spirit very much wants to encourage you to focus on anything that brings you serenity this week. During the time when Mars and Uranus are becoming in conjunction, Uranus is your ruling planet. If you get any spidey sense that you're in an area that feels just a little weird, don't engage with people in road rage or any crap like that. Shanti's the angel of peace, and there's creative action. And I want to offer it this way because this week, I believe we're going to have further, we're going to see things in the news that are going to evidence that Uranus Mars conjunction. We're going to see that Uranus is trining Pluto right now. And while that's a favorable dynamic, it can be challenging. So what I'm trying to say here for my Aquarians is that it looks like this is an opportunity for you to stand in some sort of holding space for an inspired moment before you take action in any way. Okay, whether it be for a personal goal or within your own relationships, this Uranus Mars could play out because that squares you. And if I remember correctly, Aquarius, then we're going to get over here to Taurus is your fourth house, right? Yeah. Aquarius, Pisces, Aries. Yeah. So this could be an unexpected thing within the home or within something to do with your home, your property, your apartment, your rental. But being able to connect with Spirit during this time and not take a knee-jerk reaction could bring you into a complete rebirth of the situation. So here's the rebirth, and here's Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And in the final position is the Baird. And here I was getting this enchantment of storytelling. It's almost as if starting to talk to Spirit about the solutions, about where, if there's confusion, if there's misunderstanding, or if there's deception. That's the other thing about this moon and Pisces energy can be somebody deceives you. And rather than going out and reacting to it or going and making a split decision, I feel like this is a little bit more about backing off. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. as I shuffle for the next sign. About a year ago, maybe 9 months ago now, during the height of my ego being checked by people who have authority over me, who were lying, who were committing fraud and literally criminal behavior, Pluto. I was so angry at my own attorney because she was literally not listening to me, not listening to my intuitiveness. Now, mind you, this woman called me and did appointments with me. So I had a certain trust that she would know that when I tell her things, she would trust that my intuition. She didn't. So I got really pissed. And I heard Spirit say, Teri, we're trying to give you the answer. You can't hear it because you're too mad. 3 days later, I woke up at 3:00 in the morning with the answer because I was calm. Somewhere, Aquarius, if something's getting a little funky, this is about calming down long enough to get an inspired thought on how to take action. And that could be so much more powerful and start a new story for you that could really be very beneficial. All right. Okay, on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, we love this. This is self-satisfaction. Self-satisfaction. And I want to offer this because we know Saturn is going retrograde in your first house. We know Neptune is in those last degrees of your first house and going retrograde. So the self-satisfaction may be in the awareness or in how you handle any Mars-Uranus transits. That's what I was indicating through this disruption that I've been experiencing over the last year. While Pluto's been squaring my Mars, I feel like I've become a more strategic and psychological warrior, which makes me feel more triumphant. So here we go. For our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, what I think is that this self-satisfaction doesn't come because of potentially an accomplishment in the material as much as it might be an accomplishment in the emotional. Our first angel is Ariel. The second angel is Rosetta. The third is Layla. And the final is Daniel, the angel of marriage and histories in relationships. Oh, DJ, that sounds like a fun mom to have. Okay, here we go. Ariel is being joined by the dragon, power and strength through your connection to spirit. And I really, Pisces, you're of all the signs, including your fellow water signs, you represent that deep connection, that meditative energy, that ability to truly receive messages through your calm, quiet energy moving forward. And the self-satisfaction that this will give you in the material world could be, and this is what I've been talking about Saturn's transit through Pisces, is building a strong foundation of trusting that which you cannot see with your eyes, but you can feel with your heart, which will then give you an opportunity to have the rewards that Saturn offers. And I think that's going to be super powerful moving forward as Neptune moves into Aries. So Rosetta is being joined by the Raven. That's very much a timing issue. Here we have Merlin joining Layla, which is about balance and alchemy. And then we have Daniel and the Fire Fairy. Daniel represents marriage, yes, okay? But here, for some reason, the way that I'm perceiving this, it feels more like the situation is individual to each Pisces, but the emotional dynamic feels common. So as you are calm and you connect with spirit, as you understand that you are being guided through coincidences. Who was it that just said they gave up believing in coincidences in 2013? That's what this is all about. Now you're understanding that your balance is coming through the signs and the omens that spirit is giving you. And now that sense of connection, you feel actually married to your own creative. And I want to say positive, but I don't really like, it's optimism. I prefer that. Your connection to spirit gives you a sense of satisfaction and trust. So this goes back to me in my financial dynamic. So for the first few years I worked for myself, I would always talk about my issues about money and that I was worried. I never talk about them anymore because I trust the flow now. So somewhere you're going to start to trust your connection to spirit to bring you the dynamics that you want moving forward, or the resources that you need to continue on. Okay. It also could be that if that Mars-Uranus conjunction, which would be in your, is that your 5th house? Pisces, then we go Aries is your 2nd house, Taurus is your 3rd house. Okay, so there could be even satisfaction in dealing with something with a sibling, a coworker, or somebody within your neighborhood. Or I almost feel like something comes and you don't buy the bait. You don't react the same way you used to. You don't get triggered. You're more like, I know where this is going. I got this. I don't need to go there. And that feels satisfying to me. Okay. On to our Aries rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Yay, my Aries rising. You know, this card for me is something is coming into the material. And whenever I see this garden, I always picture this like a garden of dreams, a secret garden, and spirit offering that. So let's see where we're going for our Aries rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I love the energy that Matt has brought into the chat today. I just want to thank you for being here. Have you ever been here before, Matt? Is this your first time? Because you just bring such a light energy into the room. I just love it. All right, here we go. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your first angel is Teresa. This is not about worrying. Then we have Rosetta, which is about being a child of God. We have Crystal here, and then we have Bridget. So glad you're here. You just brought the room such joy. Okay, Teresa is being joined by the Raven. Okay, Rosetta is being joined by Merlin. Crystal's being joined by the Grail Knight. And Bridget is being joined by the Owl. Okay, I'm going to tell you this for my Mars-ruled people. This, here I go laughing again. Mars, is a funny planet because Mars can be so amazingly annoying, okay? And at the same time can be so brilliant, And I feel like this worry and the timing issue and this coincidence issue is really, I see the 10. And I'm like, and I see the ace, and I know that Spirit's like, remember about your focus. Remember that sometimes Aries, Mars is totally impatient. I want it now. Let's go. And in that, hey, Les, good to see you in the room. In that, I believe that, and I've said this in the monthlies, when Mars moves into Gemini, the speed of things feels very fast. That happens on the 20th. That's like this week. Now, Mars was in Gemini for 7 months back in 2022 and 2023. Your ruling planet had to interact with the people on the roads, in your teammates. You had to look at the monkey mind. Okay. You had to kind of sit in this and really go back and forth and figure out how people were responding to who you were being. And there was a lot to garnish at that time. And I bring that up because now your planet is going back in that sign for the first time in 2 years, and it's going to have a conjunction with Jupiter. So I think that for my Aries, Jupiter rules justice. Something just could happen in your everyday life as a result of what you have learned as Mars has gone back around the Zodiac with this awareness that it had in Gemini for 7 months. Because now I feel like this worry and other people, this feels like something is about to come up where somebody's going to see or experience something deeper. And your job right now is to allow for the process of it. The ace is the beginning. It's not the manifestation. So now we have Rosetta asking us to be sort of a child to our own manifestation, meaning trusting that balance, that justice. Again, Merlin represents justice. We have Jupiter coming into a conjunction in the next few weeks with your ruling planet in the 3rd house of your everyday activities, of the people you interact with every day. Now, I want to offer this because I think the Grail Knight is now the evolved version of Mars. Because the Grail Knight was a warrior, okay? The Grail Knight was around, a member of the round table. So Mars is not just this banshee that's going to be harsh and mean and nasty, okay? Mars is going to be brave and pioneering and be the hero. And as you trust this this is very much sort of, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, slowing things down. Your 12th house has Saturn going through it right now, Aries, having an ancestral opportunity to apply your wisdom to be a peaceful warrior, but also an intentional warrior. And right now, you get to look deeper into your own actions and if you're aligned to that, because here you're practicing wisdom. You're practicing the difference between knowing when you're just acting hot and angry and when you're actually being intentional and conquering the beast. So that's where I'm going. So I think this is really powerful. I say that every week because we're in very powerful, changing times. Okay. Onward and upward to our Tauruses, our late-born Tauruses or late-born rising are experiencing this conjunction, which can be very liberating and very unnerving at the same time. Small, I almost think the room feels like it did a couple years ago with everybody enjoying getting to know each other and sharing information. I just love this. All right, let's go on, Taurus. Here we go. The Hermit is here. This is a very, very interesting energy because it's an illumination through a time that appears quiet, even potentially cold a little bit. There's wisdom to be garnished here. There's very much the feeling of a Virgonian energy here. So we'll see that comes into play. Let's see where we're going with this Taurus because, again, okay, so Taurus rising is having that conjunction with Mars and Uranus, but there's also things going on, in other parts of the chart. And I feel like all of a sudden my brain just kind of went, I'm thinking, yes, 11th house. So I'm thinking about that Saturn in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. And that Saturn would actually be sextiling some of you in Taurus, depending upon your rising sign. And that could bring illuminations through what appears to be a period that is quiet or where things aren't happening. In what's going on in my life, I've been going through stages. So when I initially put in the put in the complaint, they had to go through an evaluation process to see if the complaint had merit. And then after the complaint was approved, it has merit. Now I'm going through a longer process of having to trust that what they find will be in favor for me. And that has been, I have a Taurus moon. This is me learning how time works for me instead of looking at as my enemy because I can't see what's happening. Here we go. For our Tauruses, our first angel is Athena. It's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. And I think that assertion is really, well, we'll see. I don't want to jump the gun. Let me wait a minute. Then we have Daniel, the angel of marriage and history. The Hermit also rules history. We have Vanessa ruling faith or fear. And then we have Rosetta. It's a little bit challenging, again, for the earth signs to always connect to this lofty ideas of other things happening. And so here, sometimes I think this slowdown gives our earth signs an opportunity to experience something. Let me look where Athena's going. Looking for signs and omens. That's what I was talking about for my Tauruses. Assert yourself. Look for the signs and the omens. They're coming. Daniel, the angel of marriage, and Merlin. This is, again, balance is coming. Something is coming into fruition and it's going to remain. It's going to be long lasting. And I don't always think that Daniel is marriage to another human. Sometimes I think it's a reconciliation of my history. When I look at this very Saturnian feel, Saturn rules history. Here it is looking how sometimes, okay, for my Swifties, we know that thank you, Amy. Part of the lyric is if Taylor says, she says, you healed me, that if there hadn't been you, there might not have been me. That's wisdom extracted. This is what's going on for my Tauruses somewhere. Vanessa's being joined by the deer, and then the swan is joining Rosetta. I believe for my Tauruses that this Uranus transit for many of you has opened yourself up to seeing sort of the how one thing connects to another thing. And I believe that there could potentially be a sense of reflection going on. That's Saturn in your 12th house, or I mean in your 11th house of hopes and dreams, and also the house where the genius mind resides, okay? Because here, this feels as if you're starting to learn to trust your gut. You're starting to learn to trust that inner knowing that, well, I know I didn't plant that seed in the dark for it not to grow, but now this part of me is having the faith, the gratitude, and the joy, because this Merlin is about alchemy, justice, and balance, regardless of your history. And Taurus rules personal history. This is a reflection and an illumination that brings something strong in, something long lasting. Vanessa is, will you be diplomatic with your mind? Will you be gentle and diplomatic as you strengthen your faith? Faith doesn't come to the human through concept. It comes through experience. And without that experience, the human doesn't grab onto it. So as you see those signs and omens, you will get an experience that will help you anchor in, and then you will feel your own transformation. You will feel yourself being guided by your team, and you'll work with them in tandem. No, I have not heard that rumor at all. But that would be so. I would assume Aleister Crowley would have to be a granddaughter. He's too old to be her father. There's no way. I don't even think he was alive in 1989. But I think she's Shakespeare reincarnated. That's what I think. I really do, because Shakespeare, he interweaved all these clues and things that were really cool, and she's so deep, and she's so her verbiage is so, it's amazing. In fact, I was watching somebody on TikTok, and they were talking about what's a tryst, and I thought, look at her educating people with her lyrics and I just think she's amazing. Okay, on to our Geminis. This is our last sign for the day. I love my Geminis. So I want to wish you well with Jupiter in your first house. But this card I'm about to turn over is a little challenging. Okay. So this is the Three of Swords. Now this Three of Swords can indicate a heartbreak. It can indicate a betrayal of some kind, but I want to very much point out the illumination that's coming from this card. I want to point out that the swords are not tearing the heart up, but rather they're piercing it very succinctly. And I think for my Geminis, this is not about the outside world right now. Don't freak out, small. This is an illumination of you not following your heart and instead trying to figure things out with your brain too much. If we think about the idea of the three, it rules the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And maybe your brain needs to pierce your heart so your heart can open up and start driving the bus. The challenge with the Jupiter in Gemini is it could literally expand your monkey mind. Okay, it could like blow it out of the water and make you go, and that's not going to be fun. And then a square to Saturn could also feel a little. So I think that we'll see how the angels play this out, because this card could be very illuminating. Yes, exactly. It will expand and grow anything, good or bad, as we see it. Because my monkey mind, I have to tell you, while I see it working, it doesn't have as much control as it used to have over me. All right, here we go. Hey, Queen Leo, good to see you in the room. Yeah, exactly, small. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I love it. All right. That could even be these guys. Are you talking about these three swords, each representing one of those guys? That would work. Xana, the angel of protection. Then we have the angel of observation of my own energy. And then we have Vanessa. And then we have Ariel. So this is going to be about faith. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Xana is protecting, and there's the love card. We have creative action and optimism in the Fire Fairy. We have Xana. I'm sorry. We have the frog joining Vanessa. And then we have Ariel and the trust card. Okay, so this is not an outside, this is an interior job. This is an emotional job for my Three of Swords Geminis, because I think your brain has been working overtime potentially and not focused on the things that are working for you, but rather the challenges, the daily activities, the hurdles. And so right now, I think the angels are protecting you through love, okay, so that you can see a bigger picture of what you want for the future. As you start to observe, hold on, let me skip that ad again. As you start to observe how much time you're spending being optimistic about the future, winning the lottery, opening your dog rescue, living on a property where you feel free and happy and nobody's restraining you. Because now the angels are asking you to really, the frog is all about your mind. Oh, and we can have that too. I told someone I want a manny yesterday. Not a nanny, but as I get older, I want a manny. I want like Tony Danza to come to my house and cook and clean for me and then leave. Here's Vanessa. This is really an observation of how much time you spend in faith or fear and how much time you spend in the middle. Because now there's the trust card, reduces down to the 47 reduces down to a 1. So I think this has a lot to do with your connection to spirit, to your bigger self, and starting to weigh the pros and the cons or the percentages of how much you spend. I've got to do this. I got to do that. You know, the funny thing about this dumb old lottery. Oh, Matt, you seem like so much fun. You're on a ship. You cook. Like, oh, I mean, you're probably 20 years old, aren't you? You can't be an old man that I could love, and you can be my Manny, my Maddie. You can be my Maddie Manny. Anyway, so for my Geminis, this week, love on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be in an energy that says, well, maybe that was then, but what about now? Wow, Matt, are you in the military? Or are you on one of those ships in the Mediterranean, like below deck? I'm assuming you're in the military. You're 23. Oh, so you could be my son. We're so happy to have you in the room. You really lit the room up today and made it very fun and brought such obvious and good energy. See, this is Mars and Uranus in its high vibration, bringing a new man into our room, Mars, over the internet and enjoying this conversation so much. I hope you'll be able to join us again. You have 6 puppies, Cece. Oh my goodness, how fun. Must just smell so nice. Like, I love the smell of puppies, not the pee, but the puppies. All right, my lovely Geminis. That wasn't an easy card, but it wasn't as bad as it could be. No yachts. Yeah, I kind of didn't think you were on a yacht. But I'm glad to hear you're not necessarily in a military ship either. So that's kind of nice. Not that we, but, well, it was just a pleasure. Yeah, I worked really hard when I was young. I kind of wish I didn't work that hard. Well, you're not a baby. Just we look at you as a new energy, bringing fresh energy into our space. All right, everybody. That's it for today. We're getting pretty good at keeping to the hour and a half, so we're not too much. Oh, well, thank you for your service in the reserves. We appreciate you. That's a lot of water around you. I didn't see what your rising sign or anything was, but I was really appreciate your, I mean, literally it's palatable to feel your fun coming into our space. So I really appreciate that. And we'll be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we'll do another readings and talk about the transits. These transits coming up, they are really something, I'll tell you. And they're may be a little bit scary, but they're really much more beneficial in the long run. So I just want to bring that up. I want to thank everybody else who joins us, Queen Leo and Jules and Cece Pups and everybody, Stephen, of course, Lucy, of course, and of course, Small Wildflowers. Thank you so much for being my right-hand person. I can't do this without you. And we will see you next week, everybody. I love you. And as usual, Peace out. See you next week.